Yeah. Okay. So we first want to talk about adding fractions, okay? Because a lot of you have trouble with the thing where I ask you to add fractions, right? So I'm going to start off with a picture. Okay. Here's 0. Here's 1. Okay. And here's I don't want to use the fraction that we use here on some of those fractions. Here's 4/3 and 3/4. I want 5/8. Okay. Now don't say anything, but just point. Is 5/8 closer to 1 or is it closer to 0? It's closer to 1. Because half would be 4/8, right? Cut something into 8 pieces and take 4 of them, then you got half of what you cut, right? Everybody understands that, I think. So 5/8 is going to be a little more than 1/2. So let's just put 1/2 here, but halfway between 0 and 1, to the extent that I did that right. And 5/8 is going to be a little further. So it looks like 5/8 is about here. Okay. So here's 5/8. And what about 2/3? Now it's closer over there because cut something into 3 pieces, take 2 of them, you got most of it, right? Now, is 2/3 bigger than 5/8 or less than 5/8? Well, it doesn't matter. It is. It's bigger than 5/8. Okay, you're going to learn in the open math how to make those comparisons. Okay, you probably already know, but if you don't, that's okay. So let's say here's 2/3. Okay. Now, let's say we want to add 5/8 and 2/3. Okay. Is it going to be more than 1 or less than 1? Point that way if it's more than 1, point that way if it's less than 1. Should be obvious from the picture that it's more than 1, right? Because each of these is more than a half. Okay. So, first of all, we know it's greater than 1. If they're both greater than 1/2. Now, can everybody read what I'm doing here? Okay. My eyes are getting a little marginal at that distance. Eventually, I'm going to have to get glasses. Since I'm slowly approaching middle age, I guess it's time to get my eyes examined, right? Okay. Passed my driver's test sometime during the last year. But anyhow, 5/8 and 2/3 are both greater than a half. So when you add them, we're going to get more than 1. Okay. Okay. So we conclude that 5/8 plus 2/3 is not what you get if you add the 5 and the 2 and add the 8 and the 3. Now, why do we draw that conclusion? Don't answer, but I'm going to pause here and let you. Okay. Okay, well, you know what I asked was we add these and add these, right? I think you do that. You know, you got to get 7 to 11. Somebody trying to inquire and said it, that, well, that's less than 1. But we know that 5/8 and 2/3 from the picture has to be bigger than 1. We conclude then we don't add fractions, by adding the numerators and adding the denominators, right? It's not going to work. Okay, well, we're not going to add 5/8 and 2/3 just yet. First thing we're going to do is we're going to do this. Let's say we take here's 0, here's 1. Let's say we got 1/2. And of course, 3/4 is halfway between 1/2 and 1, right? I just count quarters and make $1. Takes 3 of them, right? To do this, it takes 2 of them to give you half $1, right? Okay. So if we add these, well, 1/2 be like 2/4, right? Okay. It's 1/4 plus 2/4 plus 3/4, right? Gives you 5/4. Not 5/8, 5/4, right? So if we have the same denominator, we can just add the numerators, right? And there's a reason for it. Okay. And of course, if we add these, we can say that, well, 1/2 is this much, 3/4 is this much. So if we add this to this, let's just make this one green. So if we add these two, here's 3/4, here's 1/2, and here's our result. This is 5/4. There's a picture of it. It makes sense in terms of a picture. Okay, so what you're going to do, the first assignment you're going to have, I'm going to double check that, and the first assignment you're going to have is just adding fractions that will have the same denominator. Second assignment will be adding fractions if they have different denominator. So I'm going to show you how we would do that with 5/8 and 2/3, because both of those things are going to be doing too. Okay. One month. Missed the first day of class. This thing has really got me confused, apparently. Okay. So we want to add 1/2 and 2/3. We know that we don't add the 1 and the 2. We know that we don't add the 2 and the 3. Okay. Because we get 3/5. Well, this is bigger than a half. This is a half. When I add them, I know I've got to get bigger than 1, right? So just think through that anytime you're tempted to just add numerators and add denominators. Because of course, when you multiply fractions, you do multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators. It's easy to get confused if you're not real attentive on it. And do have problems. Okay, let's picture that. So 0 here and 1 here. Here's 1/2. And here's 2/3. Now, the thing that we do if we want to add these numbers is we break up this interval from 0 to 1 into 6 pieces. Because 1/2 will be 3 of those pieces, and 2/3 is going to be 4 of them. Okay? So what we do is we divide it up into 6 pieces. And that's okay. Each of these pieces is 1/6. Half is 3 of them, 2/3 is 4 of them, right? So 1/2 plus 2/3 is 7 of them. Well, the way we write this is and that makes sense in terms of our picture. If we add this to this, we get over to about here. Okay, I'm not going to complete the picture. Now, what we do, if we just want to look at the numbers instead of drawing a picture, because sometimes a picture would be difficult to draw, like the problem that we started with over here, 5/8 and 2/3. Well, it turns out we're going to have to divide the interval up into 24 pieces, and I didn't want to draw that. You don't want to draw that. But the idea is still the same. We divide the thing up into the right number of pieces so that some of those pieces give you this one, and some of those pieces give you this one, right? Okay, well, formally, we write that out this way. Okay, first of all, 1/2 plus 2/3 is 1/2 times 3/3 plus 2/3 times 2/2. I know that's true because this is my 1/2, right? So I've got my 1/2 here, I've got it here. I've got my 2/3 here, and I've got my 2/3 here. Okay. Well, what's another way of writing 3/3? That's just 1, isn't it? And 2/2, 2/2, that's just 1. So this is just 1. And when I multiply a number by 1, I don't change it. It's going to maybe look different, but I haven't really changed it. Okay. It's just another way of writing 1/2, right? And this is just another way of writing 2/3. It is the same thing, it just looks different. Okay, so what we've done is Need to correlation. I think they sprinkle diamonds into these things. That scratch anything. No, not very good. Okay, found 1/2, 2/3 have common denominator 6. And we converted this denominator, etc. Okay. So here's another example. So we really don't want to try to draw the thing. Let's just do, what was it, 5/8 and 2/3, wasn't it? 5/8, yeah. Five eighths plus 2/3. Okay, the common denominator is a number that you can divide by 8 and you can divide by 3. Okay. Now we're divisible by both 8 and 3. Well, one candidate is 8 times 3, right? And it turns out that that's it for this one. Now we do prime factorization. We'll probably talk about that next time. And get the least common denominator. We don't actually have to use the least common denominator. Okay. But it turns out that 8 times 3 is the least common denominator. Okay. There are no numbers that go into 8 that also go into 3. But the only number that goes into 8 is 2 or 4. And 2 and 4 don't go into 3. You might think about that. 24, which is 8 times 3, is divisible by both. So we can write 5/8 times 4. We want the denominator to be 24. Well, we better multiply the 8 by 3 then, right? And of course, the number we multiply by has to be 1, so whatever we have in the denominator has to be the numerator. What we get is 15 over 24, or 16 over 24, which is 31 over 24. They could write that as 1 and 7/24. Open that, we'll do that, and I think nobody's going to have any trouble with that. If you do, we'll deal with it. And the stupid camera doesn't seem to understand that it needs to focus on the board. So that whole thing is blurry as heck, and still is. I don't know what to do about this camera. I can swap it real good, but. You know, I think it'll help. Let's dangle a flag in front of it. Follow the flag. Come on back here. Is the flag still in focus? I can't tell from here. Still not in focus. Man. That's why it's hard. Okay, here's the aardvark. Now let's see. We can focus on the aardvark. The aardvark right here. It's still blurry. There's another thing can sometimes work. Oh, there it is. Sometimes if you just zoom it just a little bit in either direction, it'll focus. You should probably get a heavy zooming the thing. Here 30 seconds or so, but that'd be a big distraction for everybody, including me. And I can't afford it. Okay. Anyhow, there we have it.